to see for yourselves one of the most amazing events.
When is this great experiment made?
Impervious to heat, impossible to move.
Is it human or inhuman?
Gentlemen, do you realize what we've found?
It's time for the Geeky Rummy Podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello and welcome to the Geeky Rummy Podcast. It is part 2 of our MCU endgame special. Joining me today, Mr. Keith Bloomfield.
Hello again, Ryan.
Mr. Philip Ellis.
Hello, hello, hello.
Mr. Guy Halford.
You could say this is the end game of the podcast.
That was terrible.
Yeah, I know it was. Yeah, it's like that was like a Callum James joke, or a joke you'd find on Screen Brub.
And joining us, the lovely Miss Becky Weaver.
Hello.
Laura C got clicked away.
Yes.
She got dusted.
Unfortunately she's had to snap off. So this episode we've done our big endgame review. So we talk about the state of the MCU, a little bit about Spider-Man Far From Home trailer that's dropped, a little bit about the history of the MCU, and where do we think it's going to go in the future. And Guy's got a little game for us all as well.
Of course, there's always a game.
We've got to have a game at least a couple.
An end game.
That was definitely a step up from the previous endgame pun.
You're allowed one more of those, so make it count.
How many puns can Guy get in a 40-minute section?
So let's crack on then. Spider-Man Far From Home, the trailer.
Yes.
So we have Mysterio, we have Nick Fury running out of people on his checklist of who to rope into some kind of peril.
Or do we have Nick Fury?
Oh.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate, Mr. Bloomfield?
Well, they're setting up the kind of main, whether he's a protagonist or not, is Mysterio. And Mysterio hangs around with another character who has the ability to take on the appearance of anybody they like.
True.
And the look that Nick has in this movie doesn't quite tie up with what he looks like or should look like at this point in time, because this is post-Snap 5 years later. So I'm wondering whether part of the whole Mysterio thing is the fact that that's not actually Nick Fury. It is another character.
Because he does ring him on his phone before he goes on his European trip.
Yeah, but that could be phone cloning. It doesn't necessarily need to be.
Phone cloning.
For some reason as well, it doesn't make much sense to me that that's what Nick would be doing at this point.
The one thing that did take me out of it slightly was apparently all of the entire cast
They were all
of Spider-Man were snapped. Yeah, everybody's back at the same age.
Highly convenient, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the end of Endgame when Peter just takes a little stroll into school and...
How did they get schools open so quickly?
Yeah, and then gives Ned a big old hug, and I'm thinking, hold on.
Well, that was the one thing that got me as well with Endgame. It's like we see City Field destroyed. And to me, it's kind of like, alright, I assume most baseball teams have more than the actual squad of players, and there's other players that are available to fill in.
Maybe the players were too sad, Ryan, because all their friends died.
You always have the people that get bought on, like your under 21s and stuff like that. I'm sure there's some people like that kicking around.
And it's like, I'm sure there'll still be a decent enough crowd to keep something like that running.
They've got a lot of legwork to do in the beginning of this film in order to set up what's happened.
Sure, throwaway line.
Re-snap.
Yeah, if the only reference they make is that he's really, really sad about Tony Stark, that's going to be disappointing.
Yes. But apparently,
which they do allude to in the trailer, obviously.
But apparently the transport works enough that you can have a trip to Europe where apparently nobody got snapped because everybody looks happy.
Yeah, and Venice looks perfect.
So you've all just come back from the dead, and your teachers are all 5 years older. They're dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder.
Half your class should be 5 years older.
Do they, when they come to London, will they put something in there to say whether Brexit has actually happened yet? It's 6 years in the future.
No, because by 2023, Keith, we're still going to be debating that.
Yeah.
There'll still be a zombie government in control.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, if only we'd snap away Parliament. Am I the first person to make that very funny joke?
Yeah, but there's a few bits of dissonance that I have with this where it seems to be like they've not really thought properly ahead about this.
Well, I mean, the thing is, they didn't I don't think they really thought about the logistics of how this is going to work in Endgame.
Well,
I think they do have a plan.
This is the coda, isn't it? This is our final Phase 3 movie. This is the end. This is, strictly speaking, this is the end of the...
There's another one!
Okay. If you do that again, I walk.
This is the end of the Infinity Saga, really. Endgame wasn't our end. This is like our post-credits movie for the Infinity Saga.
And it does look, obviously, because it is a Spider-Man movie, that it's going to be ending on a much lighter note, which is lovely.
So we get to see lots of nice locations around Europe. We get to see murals to Mr. Stark everywhere.
Oh God, the one where I read an article yesterday. I don't know whether I sent it to you. That was like all of the hidden Easter eggs within the new trailer that's just come out, and some of them are unbelievable. Like there's a bit where Spider-Man's like sat on top of the building, and you can see like the battle mural in the background. There's like a statue of like Captain America and Thor and Iron Man battling it out. But then the big mural that's painted of Iron Man, Tony Stark's face is painted within the mural, which I thought was very, very clever. If you go back and watch it, you've got to look really closely.
Lots of things going on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing that you can kind of always count on in a Marvel movie, is like the Easter eggs and the attention to detail.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to trust that they have a plan to like how this is all going to make sense. That isn't just going to be, oh, the wizard did it.
I'm glad they've chosen Mysterio to be the villain. I'm glad that Sony have been very careful in selecting the villains.
I didn't know that was his name. Sorry, what was it? Fishbowl Head, I thought was
Fishbowl
the name
Head,
that we went with on this show.
Yes, Fishbowl Head. But I'm glad that they're picking not the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
feel like he's been stretched out a little bit now.
Yeah, can we just forget about the Sam
Raimi
trilogy?
We had the Raimi series of movies and the Amazing Spider-Man, and it was straight back into Green Goblin with that, and I'm glad that they're avoiding it as much as possible.
I don't necessarily want to forget the Raimi films, because I kind of want to see Spider-Man eventually go in the direction of him being a New Yorker, working for the paper and J. Jonah Jameson stuff. We haven't seen any of that stuff yet with Spider-Man. That's the tradition of the stuff. Yeah. I think of the Spider-Man, it's like, we do need to get that stuff in it.
But he's aged at a point at this point that he's still at high school, so it kind of makes a lot of sense that he's not.
And
he's
it's
not
nice
a
to have
roving reporter.
A high school age superhero.
This is where we're going to get the proper relationship with MJ, though, isn't it? I think that's going to come into play a lot with this one.
I do like that after this sort of very serious kind of cosmic scale movie that we're coming out of, it's just going to be like a nice young adult adventure.
Yeah, great. Oh, you got a trailer where somebody gets nut punched. How can you get better than that?
I love the line where he goes, "I'm just a friendly neighbourhood Spider-Man," and then Nick Fury just goes, "Bull crap." You've been to space.
You've been to space. Yeah. Oh. And we get Maria Hill back as well, which is great, because I think Colby Smulders. I don't know. I can't remember. I can't pronounce her name. Kobe Smulders deserves better roles. So I'm glad that she's back.
And I'm loving Jon Favreau as well.
Happy Hogan, yes.
And if this is going to be the last official movie of the Infinity Saga, he's been in it since day one, so that's a lovely touch.
Well, he created the MCU.
Well, he directed, I imagine. Yeah.
And it's nice to see that father figure he's taken on that role.
He's taken on Tony's role, hasn't he? Of sort of like fathering.
I love the bit where the jet gets blown up as well. Everyone
New
in
plan.
the jet. New plan. Everybody not on the jet.
Yeah.
But also as well, this is the trailer that blows everything up by just kind of mentioning multiverses.
Yes.
In terms of, so I mean, I was hoping that somehow after Enter the Spider-Verse, the idea of the fact that outside of the cartoon world, there were real worlds attached to this multiverse as well.
Yeah.
So the fact that they then go, what? There's a Are you saying that this is a multiverse?
I don't know if that's a bait and switch.
Because it is Mysterio and his...
Well, yeah.
I hope that's just not a crap way to just make sure that they can still use Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool down the line, because, I don't want that to be the case.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of the comics universe. So I would assume at some point they would have to address the idea that there are alternate versions of characters, and the DC TV universe have already kind of broached that.
Well, they've done with Crisis
thing.
We don't need to talk about DC because DC sucks.
But I mean, the whole Quentin Beck thing is questionable.
Yeah.
But I also like the idea that I just want to have been in an office 20 odd years ago where Fox execs were going, these comics costumes, they just don't work in the real world. And then 20 odd years later, we've got Mysterio, who's almost comics exact. It's like, Marvel. That's one of the things Marvel have been able to do is go, this stuff in the comics. Yeah, it works.
Why does he have a bowl on his head?
To cover up his identity.
Because it's full of gas usually, so you
can't
can't
see.
Swirling. He farted in it, or what? I mean, like I can only think of the one reason why a bowl on your head would fill full of gas.
It's like a crystal ball type thing. It's
Yeah.
mysterious. It's a swirling smog.
If I looked like Jake Gyllenhaal, I would not be covering up my mug.
Do you remember Hellboy 2? Do you remember the guy who was made out of gas?
Like the smoke
very
ghost
similar
guy,
kind of costuming style.
You could really feel like everybody in the room like trying to cast their mind back to whatever how
backpedal,
that was.
backpedal.
Do you know what I did notice though? I don't know whether anyone else did in the trailer, was that Spider-Man switched from having his iron suit back to his other suits, the original material one.
Because you couldn't get through airport security with the iron suit.
And then
What's
he wears
this?
a black suit.
We get the stealth suit.
It's the shield stealth suit.
Yes. I am here for the stealth suit.
My boy looks good. Yeah.
And I think this is going to be basically him taking on the mantle of being the Iron Man replacement for all the cool technology.
I'm so here for it
I
as well.
hope not.
I
don't think Spidey should be tech
Isn't
heavy.
that Black Panther? Really?
They need to sell hot toys, Keith. We're going to get lots and lots of Spider-Man suits.
I mean, I'm glad that after sort of years in exile with Sony, he's very much here and an important part of the MCU. But I don't need him to be the linchpin of the next phase.
Well, this is the dangerous ground we're on as well, because technically this is the last film that Spidey can be in the Marvel universe under the Marvel branding. He can go back to Sony and battle Venom. So whether they're setting up the multiverse thing that somehow at the end of this Peter slips through into the terrible Sonyverse and ends up having to do terrible
Michelle
movies.
Williams wigs.
I think Disney own enough properties and have enough money now that if they want to keep Spider-Man in the MCU, they can come to some kind of financial arrangement.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel like Sony need this to be bad. They haven't got much other hits really at the moment, have they? So they kind of need this to be a thing still for them.
Yeah. But I think my boy Peter needs to be the kid who runs around in his pajamas, living off his wits and his quips. I didn't really like the Iron Suit type stuff because that kind of takes away from how much. Spider-Man for me is it's intuition, physicality. That's why the idea of spider sense is he feels it. Cladding him in mechanical stuff and having a Friday substitute just takes away from the fact that for me Peter's a person who feels the real world.
I don't know. I think we've got a completely different variation on Spider-Man with this run-of-mill films because it's completely different to the Tobey Maguire and the Andrew Garfield ones because we've had this involvement in the MCU. If it hadn't been a case of Iron Man was the one to give him the Spider-Man suit in Homecoming, I'd expect it to be the version that you want because we see the homemade spider suit, we see the homemade web slingers, and I think having him as part of the MCU has taken that and diverted it completely into we've got all this wonderful technology, and to be honest, if you're not taking advantage of it, it's going to be a bit of a daft thing to do if you're a superhero.
Yeah.
But then Tony does say to him, it's not the suit that makes you Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So I kind of don't want Peter to be teched up.
And then he gives him the Iron Spider suit. It's interesting to see. But I'm actually happy about this film. I thought it was going to be post-Endgame. Was quite happy not to see another Marvel film for quite some time, but I'm actually looking forward to this one now.
I feel this is going to be like a palate cleanser.
Yeah, I feel like this is like in the Ant-Man and the Wasp kind of vein movies.
Yeah, so that after Infinity War, we needed something light and fun, which is exactly what Ant-Man and the Wasp was. And I think, it's going to be a romp through Europe, and there's going to be some stuff in there that connects it to Endgame and maybe answers some of our questions, but ultimately it's going to be, here is one final fun jaunt before we start our next gigantic story.
And I feel like Homecoming was such a fun film anyway, that because of that reason, I'm then really looking forward to Far From Home. And I just think Tom Holland is Spider-Man more than Andrew Garfield was, more than Tobey Maguire was. For me, personally.
I think he's found the right balance between Spider-Man and Peter Parker, whereas the others, one was a better Peter Parker and the other one was a better Spider-Man, and we never got that balance right.
I don't want to discredit Tobey Maguire. I like those films.
I really like them.
Yeah, I really like them.
They're benchmark for what some of the superhero films are today. Andrew Garfield's a waste of time. But I feel like Tobey Maguire should never have been forgotten for that role. No. Because those three films just stand nicely alone as a nice...
Yeah, in a world where Spider-Man exists by himself solely with just William Dafoe.
Without those Spider-Man movies, we wouldn't have the MCU as it is now. I feel
like we frown upon Spider-Man sometimes because of this foolish mistake with the Amazing Spider-Man films of trying to do that. I feel like it'd be more fond. The other ones would be more fondly remembered had they not tried to do it again and then had to redo it again. Like I feel if they'd skipped the second generation of it, the Tobey Maguire ones would have been more remembered as classics.
Yeah, as I said, the Raimi movies, we wouldn't have the superheroes movies we have now without the Raimi films.
They proved that you can make a kind of critical and commercial success out of it.
It was them and the X-Men movies at the time, pretty much.
Well, both the sequels of both X-Men 2 and Spider-Man 2 are the best of their individual franchises by a long way, because they just embrace the whole comic bookness of it.
Yeah.
And I think the idea that why Tom Holland works as Spider-Man is because he's not either Spider-Man or Peter Parker. He's the whole package. Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
You can tell this is a role he's always wanted in his life, and you can tell he's worked really hard to get to that role.
Yeah, he's perfect. He's perfect in it. Yeah.
Funny you mentioned X-Men, Keith. What's next for Marvel? So I did that, nice little segue.
Right,
had you written that down? And I was just like, I'm going to go with that. That's a good segue.
We have one other piece of paperwork to tidy up before we have what's next for Marvel, though, which is X-Men Dark Phoenix.
I mean, let's just not bother with that.
I mean, they fumbled that storyline so badly in X-Men 3, and it just looks like from the trailer, it looks like they knew that their rights for these characters were running out, so they're rushing to get this one last story told. And I love Sophie Turner. I think as Sansa Stark, she's been incredible.
Yeah,
she didn't impress me a great deal as Jean Grey in Apocalypse.
No,
and the trailers just look like.
I think
it's going to be a very forgettable version of this story.
If we're going with the multiverse theory, this is their way to get those characters moved over. If Disney did
the characters, not this version
not
of
these
the
actors,
characters.
Because they need to recast Storm.
I was slightly worried when there was some kind of announcement the other week where the director had said, "Yeah, we kind of reshot things, so we moved the end battle of this film from outer space to a lift."
Train. No, to a train.
It would have been better in a lift. It would have been better in a lift.
Yeah,
but I mean,
it's just the memes of like the Mystique makeup in First Class to now. It's just like the absolute lack of effort that's gone into it. They're just like they're phoning it in because well, it'll still make millions of dollars.
It's their last chance to get a cash cow out of the way. Basically.
Yeah, they're like it's literally they're not trying to tell a great story. They're just like, you know what, here's a product that we'll make some money on before we use these characters.
It's been bounced 6 to 8 months already anyway. So,
but now.
It's like getting a redundancy package and having to see out your last month.
They're just like they're phoning it in. They're checked out. Yeah.
And Disney are going to be the one making the money anyway because they own Fox now. So it's kind of like I'm not going to cancel this film because it's free money for Disney.
Well,
basically,
it's a good advertisement to go. Remember Dark Phoenix? Yeah, the next one ain't going to be anything like that.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be again the reset button time.
It's like one of those films where the trailer looks amazing, but all of the good stuff is in the trailer.
Except it's not even great stuff in the trailer.
Well, yeah, it's sort of. They
almost tell you the whole story in the trailer to be like, well, if this looks good, just come and see it.
Yeah. And you don't need to watch it because here's the entire.
Yeah, here's the entire film within the space of a minute and a half.
And they've also shoved that New Mutants under the carpet as well.
Well, that's got bounced another 12 months.
That's still coming out, but it's still. I think they might try and interpret that one more into the MCU.
I just think
because it's disconnected from the rest of the X-Men universe.
Yeah.
I think it'll be easier for them to incorporate that into the MCU if it does well.
Well, it's supposed to be a horror movie, but in the X-Men universe, rather than it being a true superhero.
I do love the idea of telling different genres of story in a comic book universe. So, like Ant-Man was like a heist movie with superpowers.
Yeah,
you can do it.
Spider-Man's kind of like YA with superpowers, and I like that.
The only thing I got from the New Mutants trailer, which dropped so long ago, it's probably not even worth remembering, was...
Well, they've reshot since then, haven't they?
Well, it felt very Umbrella Academy and that, we're in a similar kind of vein.
I feel like these films just need to be burnt off and then they start scratch now with what they've got.
Yeah,
I think it's just too far down the production line not to release it.
They've spent so much money on it, they need to make that money back, basically.
I feel like New Mutants should just maybe be this straight-to-video release, maybe.
They might do it.
Yeah, so like, just get rid of it. But I understand why they're releasing the Dark Phoenix one.
It'll be a Disney Plus exclusive.
Yeah, they just need to burn. They just need to get rid of it.
The Dark Phoenix one is so they can go, right, so here's a 10-minute sequence halfway through that everybody will remember when we do our Quicksilver thing again for the third movie in a row.
Yeah,
it's like let's slow everything down. Where it's like here's a cool bit
here's
where he's going fast.
A fun, I'm guessing it's going to be 80s soundtrack or whatever the period is now.
No, it's it's supposed to be the 90s now.
And yet none of these characters have aged.
Yeah. My big worry for Marvel going forward though is we've had a 10-year plot line here, and all right, probably the first 3 films weren't ever going to be that joined up, but when you get Kevin Feige online, he's pretty much mapped out this entire Infinity Saga and knew the start and end of each movie and exactly what needs to happen.
Yeah.
Is he going to take a step back now? Now we've finished phase 3, is he going to say, I've had my 10 years, it's time for somebody else to come in and...
You're joking, right?
Destiny.
I do think that a strong hand is needed to kind of pull all the strings and make sure that these films, which vary wildly in tone, all do fit together. And Again, obviously I don't think it's going to happen for a couple of years, but I would be really, really interested to see like what an X-Men MCU saga would look like done properly.
And I think it is going to be another saga, and I think they are trying to introduce new characters. So the one movie that's been confirmed is Shang-Chi, so I think that's more tailored towards the Chinese market here. And the Chinese market is a big market for Disney. It's somewhere they've been trying to penetrate for so long.
And it would be great to have yet another leading superhero who isn't just a white man.
Yeah, and I think this is what they're going to try and build now is a bit of diversity into the range.
I mean, you could cast Finn Jones in the lead role.
Well, if you look at phase 1 to 3 of Marvel, 3 of the main guys were big white, tough, muscly guys called Chris.
Yeah,
I mean, the casting didn't really stray too far from the tree there.
I'm very excited at what the next kind of slate of heroes will look like because you've got Captain Marvel, you've got Black Panther, you're going to have an openly gay character leading the Eternals.
Yeah.
So
we've got 75 years worth of Marvel history for them to plumb. I mean, they could even bring in Namor if they want to go back that far.
Well, they hinted that already.
But the problem they've got with Namor is he rests with Universal. So they've the same problem with Namor as they have with the Hulk in terms of bringing him in. They can't really do it at this point.
Haven't they got a weird transitional period now though? Because like they've finished the big arc stories with Endgame, and now they've got kind of characters halfway through arcs. So like you've got to in the next phase you've got to wrap up Spider-Man. Hopefully there'll be another Ant-Man film. So you kind of got to get rid of those, kind of end those character arcs. You're in the middle of some of them, like Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel.
Well, you just start,
and then you've got to introduce new. So it kind of feels at the moment there's a bit of a transitional before you get to phase 5, where you're going to have like a whole new
there's going to be a crossover
generation of different characters who you've got to kind of get rid of now. Like not get rid of them, but like use these characters that you use as a transitional thing. So like a lot of these newer characters we've seen late in phase 3. They've got to transition us into the next stage of things, and I feel like that's what Phase 4 is going to be, is this whole transitional between the old and the new.
I think Phase 4 is going to be, as you mentioned, it's going to be knocking down certain pins, setting up new ones. Then 5 is going to be where this all starts to come together, and 6 is going to be Phase 3 again, where all the plot lines merge into this giant...
one giant
spectacle.
But I think it's going to carry on doing what they've always done, which is going to be there's going to be a post-credit sequence at the end of Far From Home that's going to set up for Black Panther 2 or whatever, the Doctor Strange 2, and then Doctor Strange 2 will bring in maybe characters who will then go on to have their own movie. They're going to introduce
they've not really
Shang-Chi and the Eternals maybe as minor characters in another movie like they did with Black Panther in Civil War, and it's just going to be like. There's never going to be like a neat finish where everything ends and then they start from scratch. It's just going to always be this sprawling, ongoing thing.
Well, we've had the technology side of the Marvel Universe, we've had the cosmic side of the Marvel Universe. touched on the magical side with the Doctor Strange movie, but I think there's so much depth and richness in the back history of Marvel there that there's plenty they can do. And I think even people like Captain Britain, people like that, I can see those coming through as characters, and there's going to be more niche.
Well, the Braddocks get a name check in Endgame.
Yeah.
When we see Peggy in the flashback, one of the sequences where Cap goes back.
Yeah.
So the Braddocks get a name check, so they're out there. But again, can Captain Britain carry a movie that's cinema worthy? I'm not sure. I think I'd rather see something like an Excalibur, where you've got a bunch of characters.
I think it's going to be a Disney Plus TV series. I think you're going to get a lot more Disney Plus stuff going forward, because they've already done. They've invested quite a lot with the Star Wars side with the Mandalorian, and I think if the Mandalorian works, that's when they're going to look at their other franchises and work on stuff like MCU limited run series.
Well, yeah, because we've got WandaVision confirmed, Falcon and Winter Soldier, or maybe it's going to be Captain America and Winter Soldier now. Have been confirmed. So.
And we've got the Loki series as well.
And Loki, and they kind of, they want to make sure that people are going to sign up for their streaming service. So maybe they're going to need to put some exclusive content there.
Yeah.
So for MCU completists, they're going to have to pay another $10 a month.
I'm worried though, like these newer characters like the Eternals and Shang-Chi. I don't seem that interested in these at the moment. Like, I feel like after Endgame, we got to a point where like there was so much in there that it was like I've had an onslaught, and we're going into this next phase. It's kind of like I'm not as interested as I was. So I feel like I hit like a point where I was kind of like I'm done. I know that full story now, and now I've got to invest again. Like whereas I don't really give a damn about a Doctor Strange 2. I'll go and see it. I don't care about a Black Widow movie too much. To be honest with you, it's not really exciting me. The only ones I'm really ones I'm kind of intrigued. I obviously love Black Panther, so I want to see Black Panther 2. I want to know how Guardians finishes. I love Ant-Man. I want to know how that sort of saga finishes and Spider-Man. But when you're trying to sell me like, I'm not that bothered about Captain Marvel 2. I'm worried now when we go into a later phase where characters aren't going to be as interesting and they're not as exciting as like a Thor or an Iron Man or a Captain America.
See, I question that because, really speaking, there's been a lot of big names in this first 3 phases. However, stuff like Guardians of the Galaxy, unless you read the comics,
no one knew who they were.
No one really knew who they were.
It was a talking tree and raccoon.
But like Black Panther wasn't a major.
But those have been the treats. Do you know what I mean? But there's always been these big characters to surround them, and now you've got like these characters who are now the bigger characters. Are we going to get the same kind of like hidden treats? But like the idea of the Eternals, to me, I'm just not feeling it whatsoever. It doesn't sound that great. It sounds like another. We
know so little about it though at this point.
But it sounds like they stuffed up Inhumans and like still kind of want to do Inhumans, but we need to think of something else now. So we're going to do this one. And I feel like Inhumans was a disaster that they have just completely washed their hands of and forgotten about. That I just see that going the same way as this. That whole idea of that film doesn't really intrigue me at all.
I think the problem they had with the Inhumans was where they were trying to gear that in a way that would make them a replacement for the X-Men.
Yeah.
So now that they've got the X-Men back, they can actually treat the Inhumans in the way they need to be treated in terms of pulling that all together. Because the Inhumans outside of the Fantastic Four don't work because the Inhumans are so connected to the Fantastic Four story that it doesn't work by itself. It doesn't tie together. Whereas the Eternals works a little bit more because the idea of Eternals and Celestials and all that lot kind of works in the Marvel universe that exists right now.
It just doesn't seem that exciting at the moment as a concept though. Whereas the idea now is all kicking around our minds that we know they've got the Fantastic Four back, we know they've got the X-Men back, and that's the stuff we want to see. So like when they're like, oh, we're going to do the Eternals, we might do some other minor Captain Britain. To me, like you love this comic, but to me this sounds silly.
It's going to be 3 to 5 years before we'll get an X-Men movie because.
And that's why I feel like we're going to be treading water.
Yeah, we got the Dark Phoenix movie, and it's going to have to wait until that cycle of film finishes before we move on.
I think this is the biggest barrier Marvel have got now they've announced this Fox Marvel deal. Is everybody's going to be like rubbing their hands at the idea of Deadpool and the X-Men and the Gambits and whatever being in the Marvel universe, and then just not being as invested in what happens in between.
Yeah,
because everybody's going to be like, oh, I want to see the X-Men. When you've had the X-Men, and that worked out as well as it did. Whatever.
I want to see Marvel's interpretation of the X-Men.
Yeah.
I'd not want to see that.
And I really want to see that versus what Fox basically screwed both runs of the franchise up with the whole X-Men 3 was just a disaster movie, and then since First Class it's been on a downward slope. Apocalypse was not a great film, so it's been both iterations of Fox's version of the X-Men hasn't worked. And again, same with the Fantastic Four, both iterations of Fantastic Four. The first two films were distinctly average at the time when
they were at least comic booky, and then the gritty reboot was terrible.
So I think a lot of people are waiting for, well, what's Marvel going to do now? These are characters back, and that is always going to be the issue now. As soon as this merger happened, it was every nerd is sitting there waiting for this to arrive.
I think they have a bigger issue then about how they incorporate the X-Men and Fantastic Four into it, and whilst they hate this franchise, is Deadpool is the biggest sore thumb in all of this. Because people love Deadpool, people love Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, but that connects to the old X-Men universe, and it's clear that Marvel will want to do something with Deadpool as being one of their most popular characters. How the hell did they solve that? That is the biggest problem I see they've got at the moment.
Deadpool as a character exists outside of his medium.
But I think Marvel will need to start from scratch, and they need to redo Deadpool, and I feel like that's the problem they've got. How do you scrap the Ryan Reynolds version in favour of trying to redo it?
The problem is Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool,
unfortunately,
and you're not going to get anybody else to replace him.
If you were going to rewrite the Fantastic Four and the X-Men into the Marvel Universe, the best thing you could do would be to keep Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool and him be the one that's kind of...
I get that, but how on earth do they get people to buy into that idea? And you say he breaks the fourth wall, but that to me is a silly element of those films. So I won't buy into this element of like this character who's been part of a shoddy X-Men universe that I've never been interested in is now all of a sudden part of something I am interested in. How do I take that?
How brilliant would it be to have a scene in a movie where Deadpool wakes up and goes, "Oh, at last, a decent universe."
No, I feel like it's cheap. I feel like that is cheap and it's lousy just to keep the big bucks going.
But it is true to the Deadpool character.
I know, but I feel like
I know you're going to feel cheated by it, but it's kind of I wouldn't be surprised.
I just hate Ryan Reynolds, to be honest with you.
In the meantime, though, I would be fully on board for a Squirrel Girl movie.
Yep.
A Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur movie.
Yep.
A proper Howard the Duck movie.
Yeah. Moon Knight as well, if you're going for the X-Men.
Yeah, Moon Knight would be quite interesting. But I think, like you said, Marvel's got so many different titles.
Yeah. I mean, you could even do The Torch as a standalone film if they want to go back that far. Because the Torch was an individual character before Fantastic Four. He was one of the original Golden Age heroes, along with Namor.
Well, he's in Captain America: First Avenger.
Yeah, so you could. That's perfectly fine. You could bring that version of the Torch back quite easily. So there's ways and means that they're going to get around this, I think. But as I said, it's going to be a big ask. But it's going to be the one thing everybody's waiting for is when are these characters going to turn up? Who's going to be the next Wolverine?
I really, if they're going to reboot all of X-Men, can they leave Wolverine in the old universe? Because we've had how many movies that are technically X-Men movies, but that are just centered on him?
I'd prefer they bring X-23 over.
I don't know what that is.
She was the little girl.
Oh, Deathstrike. Yeah.
In the comics, she's no X-23 is Laura, the young girl. So she's in. But you see, if we bring her into the Marvel universe, that means we get a Honey Badger, which is equally as brilliant. So that's cool. But I think Jackman's put kind of it out that if Marvel want him to come back as Wolverine, that he's willing to do it.
Because he wants the paycheck.
Because he's like, I can make so much more money.
Then the thing they can do, if they ever introduce that thing, is they could do the whole kind of old man Logan stuff and have Hugh Jackman as an old version of Wolverine who's been pulled back into the future and he's
doing old man Logan with the Logan movie, so it's kind of retreading.
I really don't want any connection to the old Fox stuff though, because I've only ever seen the first X-Men film. I hated it. I've never been interested in seeing anything else from those X-Men films. So I really just want then Marvel to wash their hands of all of that to do with Fox and just be like, start fresh with it. Let's do it right.
Recast all of the characters.
Apart from Deadpool.
focus on characters who haven't been big parts of the movie. So maybe step away from Wolverine, step away from Jean Grey, and
again,
Mystique.
hundreds of X-Men.
Yeah.
Let's have the X-Men everybody wants. So everybody wants a Nightcrawler. Everybody wants a Storm. Yeah. Everybody wants a Rogue. Everybody wants those kind of characters. Go for
the '93 cartoon series if you're going to go that far.
And the X-Men have got a history that Carol Danvers was a big part of X-Men history. She had a massive impact on the X-Men.
The MCU, so I don't think they're going to really get round to Carol Danvers' history with that. Maybe that's going to be really difficult stuff to touch.
Maybe the solution with the Deadpool problem is to keep Ryan Reynolds, but just scrap off the old Deadpool films and just have him back, but just start afresh with Deadpool.
Or just leave the Deadpool movies outside of the Marvel universe.
What about like big future storylines though? So obviously you've had the Infinity Gauntlet, which is like the hugest one of them, I guess. But then you've got like other things kicking around, like Secret Wars and Galactus is a concept as well.
Secret Wars is never going to happen because the way that the Skrulls were used in Captain Marvel.
Yeah, but that was like set in the 90s. They could have something could have annoyed them, and they could be like, "I want to fight Earth now." There's a lot of time has passed.
Well, there's people that were saying that they think they saw Ben Mendelsohn in the background.
Oh, they haven't got that far.
See Ned and Peter. What's it in? So that kind of could be something interesting.
I find it unlikely that they'll go into the Secret Wars after the Infinity Saga. As I said, you think Kang the Conqueror is going to be the next big villain. Galactus is not going to turn up until the Fantastic Four is firmly in the MCU. So I don't think they've got any big threats as much as Thanos was such a big threat.
I think it's the next handful of films. It's going to be like the first few films in the MCU where you don't know for maybe 5 years and 5 or 6 movies what the connective tissue between all of these is.
It's all scale back, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've got to get used to being back in what is pretty much Phase 1.
Yeah.
Version 2.
So it's going to be frustrating after kind of the last couple of years. It's been like everything has been like rushing and picking up the pace and leading towards this. And now it's going to be a case of, we're going to have, unfortunately, a few more origin stories, which are the most boring bits, but you have to have them.
I think they could sidestep the origin movie thing, because they've done it already to a certain extent with a lot of these characters. I would like the idea that they just do a lot of character-driven, good stories. And that's for me what worked in Captain Marvel. What I liked about that was it was kind of when it didn't go, we've got to one-up Infinity War for the scale and the scope and whatever it is. Let's just pull back and tell a little bit more of an intimate story about Carol and all the rest of them. So I kind of want them to pull back and not think we've got to do bigger, better. Because that's the mistake DC make, is that we've done this one and now the next time it's got to be bigger and bigger. Because you can never do that.
They want just maybe a story that they can watch and then not be completely destroyed by.
Yeah.
I think they're going to avoid origin movies quite a lot. I think they're going to do stuff like Nova. They'll bring it in via Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, like you said, like with Black Panther and Civil War and Spider-Man Civil War, they gave you perfect backstories for those two characters. That when their two films came out, you were like straight in there. You knew who they were. You knew that his father died as a result of this situation. You knew that Peter Parker was a kid who'd been posting videos online because he'd been bitten by a spider. You didn't need a big backstory. You just went straight in, knowing that, and I was cool with that.
And why are comic book movies obsessed with origin stories? It seems to be the only medium that seems to go, we need to give you an origin story, because pretty much every other film or TV show that I watch doesn't go, and this is the origin of this character. It's like, here's the character, deal with it.
And I think this is where we're going to have like the surreptitious origin, which will be based in another established franchise.
Which I like. So like, I think Guardians 3, that's going to be introducing Adam Warlock.
Yeah.
Because they've already hinted at that in I think it was the end credits of Guardians 2.
But I'd like them to bring Nova in as well, because then that would fit into the established universe. We've had the Nova Corps. We saw Xandar's being destroyed by Thanos in Infinity War. It's not being destroyed by Thanos in Endgame, so now we have this reset time.
That means Glenn Close is still alive. Yeah. Peter Serafinowicz is still alive.
He doesn't have the Power Stone at this point.
But it hasn't everything that's already happened in the past happened
but
up
they'd
until
already,
that point.
Because
Xandar still will have been destroyed.
I'm sure there'll be a multiverse reason to get around it at some point.
But so I feel like Guardians 3 is going to be, if they just use that as like a backdoor pilot for the Eternals, for Nova Corps, for all of these other kind of celestial characters, and save the origin story.
Yeah, as I said, origin stories I think were needed for Phase 1.
They're not
post
needed
Phase 1,
anymore.
we do not need it
Yeah,
anymore.
people they know that the audience is on board with superhero movies. They don't need to explain every last thing.
Yeah.
They kind of, you can trust the audience
Yeah.
to kind of just get on board with stuff now. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's something that DC's gone back to with stuff like Shazam. Is they're returning to origin stories because they've fluffed up their universe so badly. It's been basically needs to be a reset.
Yeah.
Right, to wrap this a little bit up then, big predictions. What do you think is going to be the big thing in Phase 4, Keith?
Smaller, I think it'll be the big thing in Phase 4. They come back and tell good character-driven stories about characters we're going to care about as much as we do Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man. And I think they've got enough characters out there they can tell us these kind of stories.
Becky?
I totally agree with that. I just want characters that I can build another relationship with. I don't want so much thrown at me at once that I don't know what to deal with. I just want a nice, clean storyline to follow that's still going to be amazing to watch.
Phil?
I think that they're going to expect a cookie for having a gay character, but I think it's going to be very cowardly writing that they can edit out or redub in China and Russia.
Yeah.
So I'm reserving judgment on that before I, put them on my pride parade.
Guy?
I think they're wasting the film on a Black Widow movie, to be honest with you. Doesn't need to happen now. I'd quite like to just see some characters getting wrapped up now, like Ant-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy having good endings. And I really do want the Phase 4 villain to be Galactus, because I'm quite interested in this character, and I feel like this is the right time to do it, because I feel like X-Men and Fantastic Four are going to predominantly take over Phase 5, that I feel like Galactus needs to be the big next one after Thanos, because people seem to know that character, they know the name of that character, and I feel like for Marvel, like the logical decision is to do the one that people know the name of.
I'm not so sure they need another big purple guy as the big bad in the next phase.
Big purple guy, is that the phrase you're going with there? A big purple guy?
A big purple, yeah, nobody needs to see a big purple guy on screen.
I don't know that name recognition is needed for a villain. I don't think no one knew who Thanos was when he first...
Dormammu wasn't a very well-known outside the comics character either for Doctor Strange either.
Yeah.
It's why they could have somebody like Kang messing about in the background, unfixing everything they think they fixed.
For me, if they do it right, I think Shang-Chi is going to be the big surprise. Because if it hits with the Chinese audience, which is where Disney's basically aiming this movie.
And Black Panther was such a hit to be like, I feel like, I hope they take the right lesson from that and just be like, let's put more diverse leading characters in there and just let's make all the money.
I think if they take a little bit from like Crazy Rich Asians and actually be a bit more sympathetic with actually having a Chinese cast rather than just having Chinese Americans and Korean Americans. I think that would work much better for this Shang-Chi movie.
I feel like with that, like they need to do what Black Panther did and touch on the Afrofuturism and the references to blaxploitation. Like those references were there.
They're going to touch the Hong Kong cinema.
This classic 70s Hong Kong cinema. That stuff needs to be in there to be for people. It's got to be a genre piece, and that needs to be lovingly done with that in mind.
Yeah, actually, that would be. I would love to watch like an old school kung fu movie, but like in the MCU. That would be amazing.
Oh my god, that would be incredible.
And if they got somebody like, is it? I can't remember Gareth. I can't remember who directed The Raid.
Oh, it wasn't Gareth Edwards, was it?
It was another
Gareth Bale.
It was somebody like that. But then I'd also love to see a David Lynch. Marvel movie as well.
God.
I'd like to see them getting some really kind of bizarre, because they could do some really interesting stuff with
well, if you want to talk about parallel timelines and different dimensions, then like that
Gareth Evans.
Gareth Evans, that's it.
Yeah. So I think something like that, or again find somebody in Hong Kong cinema who's on the way up, get somebody like that involved.
Yeah, like the way they did with Ryan Coogler for Black Panther. Like find someone who is working in that world and can lovingly create that story.
Yeah, and I think it's going to probably bring a lot of the elder Chinese actors through. It's like Michelle Yeoh, someone like that. Or
Michelle Yeoh is already a superhero.
Yeah, or Jackie Chan or something like that. If they have some like actual
Louis Tan.
Yeah,
but
Donnie Yen, somebody like that. That would be nice to see.
Saying that, I would like to see a Marvel monster movie where you have Fing Fang Foom come in, and so you have some big like proper dragons who can do actual stuff.
Well, the MCU's not been very culturally sensitive to Chinese history. We've had the Mandarin character, which was and then we've also had Iron Fist, Danny Rand,
the
and
White Iron Fist.
It's not been well looked after. So if they do this properly, it's going to be good.
I think they know, because they're going to be designing this film to make them all the money. They know they have to get it right.
So we've taken our crystal ball and looked into the future. And now it's time to put on the rose-tinted spectacles and look backwards into the past. I mean, what's been some of your favourite moments out of the previous 3 phases of the Marvel Cinematic Universe? What's been that movie for you?
I mean, it's very recent history, but it's been Black Panther and Captain Marvel for me were like just proving that you can take this kind of superhero cookie cutter film and kind of just like blow it apart and make lots of annoying men on the internet really angry.
So what were the key scenes that?
So I mean, I think for me, Black Panther, it would be I didn't expect a superhero film to have serious and nuanced things to say about slavery and colonialism, and the fact that they managed to pack in a really sort of sensitive discussion of, like, you know, diaspora and colonialism and sort of and all of that in a really exciting action movie. I think that was it was really, really impressive, and it was kind of like a great demonstration of this is what you can do with the form. This is the kind of story you can tell, even within this incredibly wacky universe. It can be political. It can tell a really important story, and I loved that.
And I think the sympathetic villain as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if you want to talk about interesting villains, I mean, Thanos, you know, is just get lost. Like Killmonger, when you're like when both the hero and the antagonist, like, you can see both of their points of view, and neither's entirely right and neither's entirely wrong. I think that just makes for a much more interesting movie.
Becky?
Mine are Civil War. Which I believe is an unpopular opinion. A lot of people seem to love Winter Soldier a lot more, which I do. I love Winter Soldier, but for me, I loved that proper intense battle between Cap and Iron Man. Was just so great to watch. I really, really loved that. But I loved the more of a build on Bucky and Cap's relationship as well. For me, was really nice. For me, I'll always love Guardians. The first Guardians film is just... I remember when I went in and saw it at the cinema, and I saw like the first bit where he gets like taken up onto the ship, and I thought, I'm going to hate this. And then 20 seconds later, I was in stitches and loving it. And it was so nice to see Marvel bring in like a lovely, like, playful side I really loved that they then took through into like Homecoming as well, of that really nice sort of building really like little bits of humour in, but still carrying a really solid storyline as well. They're mine.
Favourite scene?
Oh, it's got to be that final battle between Iron Man and Cap.
I think it was a very great way of setting out the stall on their worldview.
Yeah.
Which is Iron Man's like protect the Earth at all costs, where Cap says you can't sacrifice security for freedom, and that's always been like his thing. And I think that was a really well done way to get those two diametric viewpoints together. And
and the fact that they kind of bring it up again in Endgame.
Yeah, I love how they set that up in such a great way that they could carry it through. That's what I think was a really solid achievement with Civil War as well, that I really, really loved.
Guy, your top 2 MCU Phase 1 to 3 movies?
Oh, top 2, Jesus.
Yeah, I picked 3, sorry. You can't make me choose 2!
Oh, man. I'm going to have to go 3, sorry, Ryan. Black Panther, I mean, Phil's touched on everything. Black Panther's a really great film. It's so rewatchable, and it stands alone. You don't have to watch any of the other Marvel stuff to fully enjoy Black Panther. It's just a standalone, big budget, great film. It deserved every bit of press it got. It deserved all the Oscar nominations, whatnot. The first Avengers film is fantastic because it's just the first time this has ever happened with all these characters from franchises coming together on screen and it working, and it being funny, being exciting, being a huge battle, and like Ultron was never as good. Infinity War and Endgame.
Loki was such a great villain.
Yeah, exactly. It was just nice to see this payoff of these 5 films that you'd seen before all accumulate in one thing. And like when you saw Age of Ultron, it was never as it was the excitement of seeing it happen for the first time wasn't there.
It was a bit flat for me, Ultron. I didn't get the same excitement from it that I'd expected to get from other Avengers films.
I felt James Spader was wasted as the voice of Ultron because he's got such great menacing presence.
Yeah.
And Ultron never really matched that voice. It was like the voice was dripping with malevolence and dread, and it was kind of like, but it's just a tin can soldier at the end of the day, and we've seen Hulk rip these apart time after time again.
Yeah.
I think my personal favourite though, this is going to be a controversial one, I'm getting ready, he's going to agree with me. I really love Ant-Man.
Ant-Man is brilliant.
Ant-Man is great, and
it's a perfect fun.
It's just fun.
It's just a great little film. I love Paul Rudd anyway. He was a great casting.
What's his name?
Michael Pena.
Michael Pena, yeah.
Everything about it is great. It's just it's rewatchable. It's not big like the other Marvel films. It doesn't rely on big scale disaster. There's loads of funny little jokes. I mean, you can tell what Edgar wrote with that film. You know, the reference to Cure and the fight in the suitcase and whatnot, and the briefcase. Yeah, there's so many good little visual jokes. I didn't notice till recently in Ant-Man the Wasp that Hank Pym's office is built out of Lego.
Yes, and it runs on Duracell batteries being scaled.
Which is
it's so clever.
I really like that film. It's one that I've always got time for if it's on. And it does have my favourite Marvel scene in it, which is the Thomas the Tank Engine. That's my favourite children's programme as a child. Seeing that happen, that was genius. It was so well done.
Who would ever have expected Judy Greer to have an important role in a Marvel movie?
Keith, your top 2/3, depending.
3. Okay, I'm going to go Marvel Phase 1, Marvel Phase 2, and Marvel Phase 3.
Strong.
There you go. Because that's how they are on my bookshelves. It's like in the videos. I can't really say that there's any one or two, because there's something in every single one of them.
Is that your favourite?
I'm not going to say For the Dark
World. I like that film.
It's fine, I guess.
It's alright. It's
there's things in it that are redeemable.
Christopher Eccleston as a dark elf. No, thank you.
Iron Man 3.
Again, you know, there's stuff in there that's
there's
quite
been
interesting.
Some stumbles on the way.
There's been a few. I think if I'm going to have to nail it down to any specific 3, 4, 5, or 6, 7, 21, 22, I'm going to Captain America: First Avenger. That
film.
period piece that completely sets up Steve Rogers and Captain America and nails that characterization so well. We get Hayley Atwell in there as well, which is always a plus side. I would, if that hadn't been for that, I wouldn't have had 2 seasons of Agent Carter, which I would like to have more of.
It feels like an old school kind of like 80s sort of action film that does,
well,
like the Indiana Jones
because
and stuff like that.
It's directed by Joe Johnson, who also did The Rocketeer, which is another film I really like.
It's
got that kind of 40s kind of pulp
classic
fiction vibe, which I really enjoy.
It
and there's scenes in there and there's dialogue in there that you just go, this is just great. I mean, you get Bucky in there as well. You get the Howling Commandos and all the rest of it.
I'd say it's the closest Spielberg MCU movie.
Yeah, it's a very Amblin type kind of movie, which I kind of really, really love.
And, I love when you like a war movie within a superhero universe, like how Winter Soldier was like a Cold War movie. Winter
Soldier, it probably contains my favourite shot in any MCU movie. It's after the lift scene. I just love the fact where Cap just kicks the shield and catches it in his arm. And you just go, I don't know how you did that, but I would love to be able to do that, to just kick it up and catch it.
Anything he does, really.
And that's just beautiful. But I think if I had to pick another one that I could watch over and over again, that would be Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, that one's brilliant.
Because there's just so much going on in that
it's
movie.
So silly.
It's so funny.
It totally embraces itself.
It put Jeff Goldblum into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
What a role he played.
Explaining away the haircut and the whole Willy Wonka thing with the kind of tunnel bit where it goes through.
Tessa Thompson as
Valkyrie as well.
Valkyrie.
He gave us Korg, he gave us Meek.
Kate Blanchett in full drag.
Yes. Just turning back, one scene that I've just remembered that and it's literally like a fragment of a second, but every time I see it, I'm like, I freaking love Marvel. Is Infinity War, right at the very start where they're first starting to like battle, and there's a bit where Iron Man touches his watch and then his arm just comes up and he just steps forward and I'm like, yes, it's just gonna kick off, and I love it. I just love how sort of smooth that transition is, where it just like. But the thing is that I've always noticed, he takes his sunglasses off, but you don't see where they go. So he takes his sunglasses off and he just goes doosh, and then his suit comes up. Where do his sunglasses go?
I'm gonna
say they're made out of nanites.
Yeah, they're made out of nanites, and they kind of dissolve into the suit. There we go.
Or
I'm sure there's a fan wiki on that.
It's got its own AI in it, and they just fly off and do something else somewhere.
Hulk wasn't doing much during that fight, so maybe you gave him to him to look after.
Maybe just chucks him back.
Yeah, no.
He's a billionaire, he can afford as many.
It's just the way that he just taps and it just all like comes up his arm. And I'm like, yes.
There are a million just really cool, nice little touches like that throughout all the movies, and like I said earlier, the attention to detail that they put into these films is brilliant.
The other thing that I really love about
circling back to one thing as well with the sunglasses, you see Peter Parker wearing them in the trailer as well.
You do, yes, you do. He's wearing the black.
He's wearing
ones.
Tony's glasses
with a little silver top.
Little baby.
Yes.
Little baby.
Let's not talk about Sir Peter Parker, please. It's too much of an emotional subject for me to deal with. The other thing that I really love about Marvel films as well, not necessarily the actual movies, but I feel like the soundtracks that they build for them are such a brilliant support. Like the Guardians soundtrack runs so well with the movie, I really enjoy it.
I think the Avengers theme is up there now with like the Jaws theme, the Superman theme, and the Star Wars theme.
I really would love to see if they start doing the Avengers films like they're doing these live orchestra things, because I just feel like that would be really cool.
I like how you immediately have that emotional attachment to it now. Like at the end of Captain Marvel, when Nick Fury's at his desk just renaming it the Avenger, and you just get like a few bars of it, and it's brilliant.
And it's enough.
But another moment, if we have to go back, is the first part of Captain Marvel, because I wasn't expecting that reworked Marvel Studios logo that they did. It was just the tribute to Stan Lee, and it was like, but it hasn't even started yet, and I'm already like,
and then the
what
little
is
smile
that?
she gives him on the train.
Endgame was the last official cameo that they filmed.
Because I was wondering whether Endgame was or whether it would be Far From Home.
No, Endgame was the last official one, but I think the rumour is they're going to just do a missing Stan Lee poster and a shot of every single Marvel film going.
But then the way they've worked all of those kind of intro sequences, because it started with the comic book stuff until they built up enough
and then it became
film
the
stuff, and then it became the film stuff, and then these just the Marvel, and then the one they did for Endgame, the fact that they left characters out. So
I didn't even notice that.
If you watch the Marvel intro at the beginning, anybody that's dusted, there's like an empty shot of Doctor Strange's rooms, so the characters aren't in that intro sequence if they've been dusted in Infinity War.
Need to see it again.
So, my three. I'm going to go the original Iron Man. Mainly because it set the template for everything to come afterwards.
Yeah.
It's a self-contained story which breaches into something much wider. We have the first post-credit sequence with Nick Fury, which leads us down the rabbit hole basically of the entire Infinity Saga. It establishes Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. There is nobody else I can see ever to replace him, really. He is the perfect casting, and I think Jon Favreau took a massive gamble to get him on board, but I think that paid off handsomely, and I think the MCU wouldn't be where it is without having somebody with that amount of charisma behind him.
Especially when you consider the amount of things that he improvised that then became like canon, basically.
Yeah.
And it starts off in this whole tech thing. We get the first version of Jarvis here. We've got all the stuff that builds and builds and builds into what is known as the MCU. Second movie for me is Winter Soldier, because that is, I think, the point where the MCU grows up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
That is like the coming of age movie for the MCU. It's not just silly superheroes running around in suits beating up the big bad anymore. We have a defined proper storyline. It riffs on the Manchurian Candidate quite a lot.
Yeah.
But this is a 70s dark, heavy political drama dressed up as a superhero movie, and then from then on we get the chance to move around. We get the chance to delve into some little different movies. It means that Ant-Man can become a heist movie, because that's what it is. Ant-Man is a heist movie at the end of the day that's, again, dressed in superhero trappings. And I think without these two key movies, the MCU would have been a much weaker place.
Well, it would be where the DC universe is right now.
Yeah. And I think
Savage dig.
my final movie has already been mentioned, Thor Ragnarok, because that grounded everybody, I think, in knowing that, all right, these might be dark, depressing, heavy movies, but let's have some fun along the way.
Yeah.
I mean, Ragnarok is really a dark movie if you think about it.
Well,
it ends up with basically...
Well, especially the ending as well is so dark.
With most of Asgardians are dead. Thor's
Their
on a
homeland's
ship.
destroyed,
Yeah, his dad's dead, his brother's with him for the short term, and then it ends with Thanos coming in to basically wreck stuff up. But at the same time, it's been a fun adventure to go along with. I mean, we get introduced to Cole, we get introduced to me, we've got Jeff Goldblum,
you have
get
the
Valkyrie.
The Taika Waititi of it all.
Yeah. And it's that fun blend of comedy and drama that I think the MCU have hit very well. They haven't made astounding movies. They've made very good movies consistently, and I think that's been their strength. It's never been, this is the best movie ever. It's been, this is a great movie to switch your brain off and watch for 3 or 4 hours.
There is nothing wrong with just being wildly entertained.
Yeah.
I got quite annoyed with people coming out of that, like, that is the best film I've ever seen, that is the most mind-blowing 3 hours of entertainment I've ever seen. It's kind of like that's a very bold statement when you quite clearly never seen some very important 3-hour masterpieces of cinema.
It's
like, so I feel like some people, like, Marvel films are fantastic and they're great for what they are, but I feel like that's a very narrow-minded statement to make.
It's like when people will say that Harry Potter is the greatest work of literature because they haven't read any other book.
It's not. It's good, but no.
Marvel is the pinnacle of spectacle. This is what we're here to see. We're here to see big explosions, big fight scenes,
good-looking movie stars, delivering funny lines. Yeah.
And that's been the warmth, and that's been the heart of the MCU all the way through, and that's what I really hope they do keep in from Phase 4 onwards. But I think those 3 are the keystone movies for me. Because you'd expect the Avengers movies to be the keystones, but I don't think without
the
Iron
Avengers
Man,
build on what all the other movies put the work in for, don't they?
Yeah, the Avengers movies to me are the payoff for the previous.
It's the greatest hits almost. Yeah.
But those 3 are the keystone movies with me, and I don't think the feel of the MCU would be right without those 3 films.
And I think that, I think you're absolutely right, that that's in the DNA of every story they're going to tell moving forward now. It's going to have the pathos, it's going to have the humour, and it's going to have the spectacle.
Yeah. Guy, you've come up with a quiz for us.
Yeah, an endgame.
Oh my god.
Hey, there it is again.
It's a game of, it's crap film descriptions.
Haven't you done this before, and then you basically just explain what the film is very succinctly?
Pretty much, yeah.
There's not much challenge to it.
Are we buzzing in, or are we just shouting?
I feel like I'm going to be terrible at this, but
are we doing
let's give it a
teams,
bash.
or is it solo?
Solo.
Every man for himself.
Every man for himself.
Oh god, I'm sat next to you as well.
But there's a trick here.
Oh.
Okay.
So
I'll try and
to
not
get
see the paper that
try and not look at the paper, you cheater. To get the point, you have to tell me the name of the film and the person who's in it this time to get the point. And there is one where you get 2 points.
Oh, okay.
Because you will get 2 points too, because there are two stars in the film.
Okay.
That I want to know about.
Are these Marvel movies or just random films?
I can't say anything.
You're not divulging.
Alright, so number 1. There's quite a few of these. Ryan, stop looking at the answers.
I'm not looking at the answers. I'm staring at David S. Pumpkins to try and not look at the answers. You keep waving in front of my vision.
Right, number 1. Group of special people do tricks and stuff, and then whilst doing it, take things that don't belong to them.
Now You See Me, and Mark Ruffalo.
Keith got the points.
I see the MCU characters in different films.
I was trying to think who in that has got something to do with Marvel, and it was Mark Ruffalo.
Number 2. A man with something to boast about makes his way in a dirty job, has some ups and downs, but definitely more ups.
Oh my god.
A man with something to boast about makes his way in a dirty job, has
Keith.
some ups and some downs, but definitely more
Boogie
ups.
Nights. Mark Wahlberg in it, but am I looking for a Marvel person in it?
Mark Wahlberg, the well-known Captain Marvel.
Keith,
Brie Larson. Yeah.
Keith, you got the name of the film, but you didn't get the person in it. Does anybody want to try and steal this from Keith? He's laid the groundwork, but he hasn't got the points.
Is John C. Reilly in that?
He's not the person I'm looking for.
Who else was in Boogie Nights? Heather Graham? She's not in normal movies.
Phil, you've taken a guess.
Yes,
You're out.
I can't.
Ryan
think
and
who
Becky,
Marvel
this is down to
Connection
you.
is.
No takers?
You said what's his face with the moustache?
No points given on this one. The person I was looking for was Don Cheadle, who plays the
Oh,
character Fox.
so don't even get anything to get in the
always
film.
forget that Don Cheadle's
No.
even in the Marvel universe.
Gotta get both.
You gotta get both. Okay,
Damn.
number 3. Bunch of blokes who should know better spend a large portion of their lives playing a silly game.
Keith, tag Jeremy Renner.
That's right.
Oh,
yeah.
Is this just going to be the Keith and Guy game?
Yeah.
Usually I'm terrible at the quizzes.
Number 4. Guy goes on holiday and gets an invite to a better holiday location, but can't keep his mouth shut about it and ruins it for everybody already there. I'll read it again.
Yeah.
Guy goes on holiday and gets an invite to a better holiday location, but can't keep his mouth shut and ruins it for everybody already there. That was my favourite one I wrote, because it's so accurate to what the film is.
Are we like to have seen this film?
Yeah.
Is it really popular? Like really?
Yeah,
well?
they're really popular.
For some reason, I want to say that the actor in it is going to be Paul Rudd,
I mean, you taking a guess there?
but I have no idea what the film is.
I'll read it one final time. Guy goes on holiday and gets an invite to a better holiday location, but can't keep his mouth shut about it, and then ruins it for everybody already there.
No, I have no idea.
This is so frustrating.
No.
No
This
takers?
is the worst game ever.
Nobody?
What is it? Come on.
It was The Beach. Tilda Swinton.
Oh God!
Oh, that was a good one. That was a good one.
Flipping out.
Now all I've got is All Saints in my head.
I
That
heard
beach
about
is
that
actually
on the
closed
news
till
this morning.
2021, yeah.
Oh, damn it.
Alright, number 5. Some crimes are done and a bloke and his companion try to work out who did them by being really clever and
Ryan,
stuff.
Sherlock Holmes, Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
I'm terrible at these.
Low hanging fruit.
That was going to be the one that was coming at some point.
Right, this is the one for 2 points. Okay, so the biggie. Okay. Lots of fights happen because a bloke fancies a girl who's been around a bit.
Keith, I am going to guess at Fight Club.
Yes.
You've got. You saying no to
It's
Fight Club?
not Fight Club.
Oh, okay.
It's like Keith's out.
Boston.
I'll read it again. Lots of fights happen because a bloke fancies a girl who's been around a bit.
Oh, it's Troy, and it's no.
It's not Troy. No.
It's not, no.
2 players left for this question. It's a 2-pointer, and it's quite obvious. And Keith, you will kick yourself. Lots of fights happen because a bloke fancies a girl who has been around.
Oh,
a
God,
bit.
Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh, damn it!
Who are the 2 now? Oh, they've gone out my head. No!
Don't get it. It's 2 captains. Get it quick,
It's Brie
Ryan.
Larson and it's Chris Evans.
Damn. I hate the fact that we didn't get that.
That was so obvious.
I hate the fact I didn't get that.
Damn.
Okay, I need to redeem myself. Come on.
We did help Ryan out though with the captains.
Thank you. I'm still taking
You're
it.
welcome.
Oh, the description on this one. A gay man takes on Nazis with maths.
Oh, it's the Imitation Game with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yep, Phil.
You didn't say his name beforehand.
You know it's me.
Cheat.
Woman goes on a trip with her husband and hangs out with another bloke in a cool place and have lots of fun, but they don't get together.
Oh, Lost in Translation, Scarlett Johansson.
Yes.
I really
Ryan's
hate you,
pulling
Ryan.
ahead now.
Like, I really hate you.
Ryan is pulling ahead because he got the double pointer as well. Okay, guy can't get any for ages and his mates try and help him.
Oh,
Ryan, 40-year-old virgin. I can't get the person.
Does anybody want to steal this from Ryan?
Paul Rudd?
Yeah.
No!
It's been so well to start, it's all falling apart now.
How
many more are there?
Pena. Is Michael Pena in for?
No.
No.
Okay, next one. Group of smaller people go on a big mission to steal something back from a dragon.
Oh, Lord of the Rings?
No.
So it's going to be The Hobbit.
Yeah. There's two people you
So,
have in this.
I mean,
Oh!
you've got Benedict
Yeah.
Cumberbatch is in there somewhere. And...
Can I steal this?
I don't know.
I can see his face
Can I
and
steal
can't read
this?
what his name is.
Luke Evans?
No.
No?
Yeah.
It is Martin Freeman.
Martin Freeman.
Martin Freeman's in the MCU.
Nope.
So's Luke Evans?
You've all guessed.
Lee Pace as well.
You've all guessed. I was looking for Evangeline Lilly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you
She's
had
not,
a
in it
side.
till, she's not in it till the second one.
Yeah, and I was looking for the decimation of Smaug.
Oh, yeah, I bet you were.
Okay, next one. Story about a fat man who rapped music.
A fat man who rapped.
Oh, I know the name of the movie, but I'm trying to think of who is in it.
A fat man who rapped music.
I don't want to say.
Come on, Phil.
Because I can't think of who was in it.
You want to say it.
It's Notorious. And I want to say.
Is this when you go for the Black Panther cast? So, which one is it going to be?
Oh God. The guy with the eye. What's his name? Forrest Whitaker.
No.
Oh.
The guy with
Is it the right film?
It's the right film.
It's the right film. Is it Winston Duke?
No.
No, okay.
Do you need to try and steal?
Is it Michael B. Jordan?
No.
You're out.
Yeah, you're out.
I think I know who it is now.
You can whisper
You're
into
out,
Becky's ear.
and I don't know because I suck at this game.
Is it going to be, what's it?
Who?
The Queen.
You are terrible.
Yeah.
Nope. There's Anthony Mackie played Tupac.
Oh, God, yeah.
I would never have guessed. I would never have guessed.
God,
that.
you had a Falcon one guy. That's not fair.
Okay. Blocks that get put together on an adventure.
Keith.
Look, you go.
Lego Movie and Chris.
Yeah.
Chris, what's his name?
Oh.
Pratt. Yeah, thanks, Ryan.
His name is what he is.
The most fun of the Chris's.
Okay.
I don't know about that.
Loads of randomers turn up in the middle of nowhere and have to stay the night somewhere, but everyone's got a secret and a connection and stuff.
Hateful Eight.
No, Ryan's out.
Can you repeat the description?
Loads of randomers turn up in the middle of nowhere and have to stay the night somewhere, but everyone's got a secret and a connection and stuff.
Okay, so I'm going to say Bad Times at El Royale.
Of course.
Am I on the right movie?
You're on the right move, yeah.
Okay. And then who the heck's in that movie?
Well, some John Hamm action for God.
John Hamm action.
But
I've got to
MCU.
figure out who. What's the actor that's in that? That's in Marvel movies.
There's quite a few.
It's not,
I know.
I've never even watched
That's
this movie.
not helpful
so
to you, but
I'm-
Damn.
Feel for the steal, Keith. You're taking your
Surely, if I get the film and then they get the actor, that's like
you're taking your time.
I'm gonna give it away. I don't know. I can't remember.
Chris Hemsworth.
The steal.
Stupid boy.
Yes, you've got points.
I'm not looking at the answers. I'm looking at Dana.
Yeah, that's how Ryan's getting all the points. That's what I'm
But
getting.
if you get the film but not the actor, you don't get nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
Bunch of people flying around in space working for some kind of organisation that do exploring missions, often resulting in trouble.
Ryan Parrish. It is Star Trek and it is Chris Hemsworth.
It is Star Trek, Ryan, but it's not Chris Hemsworth because he was the last answer.
But he was in Star Trek.
Keith. It is. What's her name? It's Gamora.
Oh God!
So it's.
Becky, it's Zoe Saldana.
Becky gets.
I'm
Damn it!
We're setting so many people up for it. We're basically going, here's the film and the character.
Yeah,
you just got to get the
Here's the
actors.
film and one of the other MCU people, but it's not that one.
Alright. People keep getting murdered in gross ways and two blokes have to solve it. Someone gets a gift box.
Phil, 7, Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah.
I mean, get in there.
Yeah,
I didn't even breathe. I think I did it. And then...
I'm getting very competitive.
Yeah, just a bit.
Guy uses a method of transport, however, gets caught up in a major situation involving some animals in an odd place.
This is my favourite description ever.
Read it again.
Guy uses a method of transport, however, gets caught up in a major situation involving some animals in an odd place. There's a very accurate description as to what it is.
I think I know what it is, but I don't know who the actor is.
Is it I Bought a Zoo with Matt Damon?
No, Ryan, you're out.
Matt Damon was in the MCU.
Was
I
it?
thought he was in Full Ragnarok. But that film also has Scarlett Johansson in it, so...
Give us the description
Guy
again.
uses a method of transport, however gets caught up in a major situation involving some animals in an odd place.
What's an odd place for an animal?
I think I know what the movie... Well, I know a movie where that matches, but I can't think of...
The MCU.
If you want to give away the title of the
Yeah,
movie.
you feel free.
Yes.
No.
You know, I'm sat here with my 1 point here. If you could help me out.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Transport animals, odd places.
Shall we just give us the answer?
Any takers?
No.
There's Samuel L. Jackson snakes on a
Oh.
plane.
Oh, God.
Why did we not get that?
Okay, bloke investigating a crime gets seduced by a woman who can't keep her legs closed.
Keith, I'm going to go with Basic Instinct and Michael Douglas.
Yeah. Okay, 2 left.
Oh, well, I've definitely lost.
Big time singer finds a smaller singer and gives her an opportunity and then dates and then gets jealous of her.
Phil, A Star Is Born, Bradley Cooper.
Get in the bin!
Shouldn't be down my throat here. I said my name first.
Oh, sorry.
Opens the
He's
door.
not sorry.
I'm not sorry.
I think those points should
You
be
go to breathe
stricken.
the word, and before you even opened your mouth, Phil's there.
I call shenanigans there.
Yeah.
I call point stricken from the record for that.
Alright, I'm
The
going
Lord
to...
giveth and the Lord taketh away.
I have to think of a tiebreaker here. Okay, so to get the point, what was the name of the TV series Bradley Cooper debuted on?
Phil, Alias.
Beat you to it, Ryan.
Oh,
That was a fair way of deciding.
For those of you that want to know what Ryan's
Jennifer Garner
reaction
was also not in the MCU.
He rolled his
in
eyes
a
for about
Marvel
6
movie.
years.
Oh god, but Jennifer Garner wasn't technically
A Marvel movie,
Yeah.
yes.
God, Elektra was a terrible
Mess.
movie.
Well, she's
Elektra
also
or
Daredevil.
Catwoman?
Oh.
Okay, the final one then. I don't know who this decides it for, but
Oh, God.
woman who is good on her feet goes really crazy and then kind of starts liking
Keith.
another woman good on her feet.
Oh, you've got to be
Black
kidding me.
Swan, Natalie Portman.
Yeah.
The dark timeline of the MCU.
I will. I'll
Which is great because I've never seen it.
I'll just add up some scores, Ryan, where you feel.
Phil Ryan.
Well, I hit Phil.
I think I might have won.
Yes. That was a very impressive quiz. Thank you very much.
But that's just me taking a stab in the dark.
I'm amazed I got anything in there because
You
usually
lied.
guys quiz on.
You were
terrible.
reading that in his bag earlier, weren't
No,
you?
0.8 seconds. That's all I can say.
Definite cheating going on.
How can I cheat? You were stood there looking at the answers.
I was not looking at the answers. If I was looking at the answers, I would have scored more.
He was probably looking at the answers.
I feel bad that we set up quite a few of those.
For Phil to steal them.
Yeah.
He's so pleased with himself. Look at that little smirk.
I mean...
Here's the film. Here's the Marvel character that they play, and we can't remember the actors.
I mean, to be fair, that's the only reason I actually got a point.
Yeah, no one else could remember her name.
I'm like, it's Tony Saldana.
Okay.
Right, what's the power ranking here?
Oh god, this is so depressing.
So in final place.
Oh, I wonder who that is.
Even 1 point. In third place is Ryan with 4 points, but there's a tie at the top. Keith and Phil both with 5 points.
Both with cheating points. Both with cheating.
I am inevitable.
I need to think of a tiebreaker one here. Okay.
No.
Oh Christ. Okay. Kid who likes music, does stuff for people, can go really fast, and gets in a bit of trouble himself.
I actually know this one. This is really annoying. This is really annoying.
I just literally made that up off the top of my head.
Kid who likes music can go really fast.
Kid who likes music, does things for people, he can go really fast, and he gets into trouble himself.
It's going to be
Oh
one of,
god, I know this one!
It's one of Guy's favourite directors to
It's
help
so,
it narrow
it's
it
so
down.
obvious. You're going to
Guy
kick
has a favourite
yourself.
director.
Guy has many favourite
I wouldn't say it
directors.
was one of my favourite, but I do like this director.
I am so angry that I actually know this.
You actually really like his directing, Keith.
Yeah.
Do you
Oh god, this is really annoying.
Kid who likes music and he can go really fast and he does stuff for people, gets in trouble himself.
God's sake.
I feel really stupid
It's pretty
that I can't
accurate.
get this.
You're gonna hate
It's really
seriously
accurate.
because it's so obvious. You can literally see the cogs going.
You're going to have to give him another clue.
Yeah.
This director has directed...
No.
No,
Let me give you
that's
another
too
clue about
obvious.
the film. Doesn't always hear things properly.
Oh, come on.
I think we'll go with my clue.
No, because yours
No,
is too
because they've got to jump in.
I'll give him another clue about the film. Another clue about the film.
It's got a disgraced actor.
Why is this so difficult?
It's honestly, and it's.
It always gets hired to do things by one bloke. Doesn't always work the same bunch of people.
Oh, come on, Keith. Alright, I'm going to give him my
Why
clue
can't
now.
I think of it?
Meets a woman
in a diner.
In a diner, yeah.
I'm going to give him my clue now. The director of this film almost directed a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie.
This is not helping me.
That's the biggest clue ever.
There's a big old soundtrack in this one. It's heavily based on music.
Baby Driver.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the actor is...
I wasn't looking for an actor.
Oh,
You just won.
Okay.
Hey!
That's alright. Second, that's good enough.
Thought you would have got that pretty instantly. Keith, I love that film.
I love that. I don't. Oh.
That was a terrible description.
I made it up on the spot. I glanced over there. It was the first thing that stuck out.
How great!
Terrible.
Somebody really likes music, goes really fast,
does
gets
stuff
hired
for
to
the
do
people.
jobs.
I was thinking like The Flash. Oh.
Yeah, but
What's
when
an
you said
MCU
goes
actor?
really fast, I thought they went really fast.
What they do
What's
in
an
a car?
MCU actor in?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so. No.
John Berfenthal, who...
Ah, yeah,
Punisher.
Parental, yeah, Punisher.
Well, that was fun, and I'm saying that because I won.
All right. Some of us are sat here with one measly point. I don't need you rubbing salt in the wound.
Just because you've got your Infinity Stones of knowledge here.
That's it. Phil's going to click his fingers now. We're all screwed.
Well, there was still some shenanigans on there anyway, so...
To wrap up, tell people where you are and who you want to be in the MCU. Keith?
I want to be Howard the Duck. Why not? You know, I really want to be Captain America, but that's never going to happen. I'm more likely to be an anthropomorphic duck from a different planet.
And where can we find you online?
You can find me online at for reals.
Yes.
I thought I was going to make up a whole new Twitter handle. No, it's hardluck_hotel on the Twitters.
Not the Count Clear.
Strangely, the duck connection is already there. And you can take the underscore out if you wish, and that will work on Instagram and other places.
Becky, who would you choose to be in the MCU? And
I'm going to go Ant-Man. He's great. Really tiny, really big. You know, lot to work with. I'll be Ant-Man.
Yep.
Yeah, you can find me online, Twitter, @Becky2293.
Phil?
I would like to be Marvel's first openly gay lead in the Eternals. Call me. Or tweet me at Philip_Ellis. That's Philip with one L, Ellis with two.
You'll find the verified blue tick,
I
guys.
already have the blue tick. I am movie star ready. So just
He's
hit
been
me
getting
up.
health tips off Tom Ellis on how to
like,
up.
slide into my DMs.
Yeah, Tom Ellis. Let's not mention that's a DC character.
Yeah. You slide into Phil's DMs though, you're never coming out of them.
Guy, who would you want to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Let me guess.
I'm just going to be that fat lad I know from Spider-Man. He's fat mate.
Hello,
Russell.
Yeah, fat mate. So yeah, I'm the fat
sweet.
kid from Spider-Man.
Ned.
Vinyl guy hates Instagram.
And you can find me.
I don't know, just
Pulling off a time heist.
I'm happy.
Losing quizzes and
I'd be happy.
Aww.
Aww.
Yeah.
Because nothing's without happiness.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
That was
really
a
deep.
really lame, almost like church on a Sunday way to end the show. Welcome to Songs of Praise with Ryan Parrish.
Have you heard of the real superhero, our Lord Jesus Christ?
It's like one of those canvases you can buy from cash and carries on the local high street.
Live.
You can get nothing
laugh,
without happiness.
Love.
I'd love it if they did that, but with just Jon Favreau's face underneath it.
Jesus will get you cheeseburgers.
You can find me at Ryan Parrish, all for the foodie stuff at Brummy Gourmand, and you can find us all on Geeky Brummy on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, geekybrummy.com, the Geeky Brummy YouTube channel. Check out Key's comic video of the week, and at geekybrummy.com check out Lee's comic. Game of the Gaming Roundup.
Game Roundup.
Yes. But for now, goodbye everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.